Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First up, John Oliver decided to celebrate a mob vandalizing ICE vehicles in Rochester. Apparently, destruction is only wrong when it happens to a Prius in Malibu. Then, California gubernatorial hopeful Katie Porter tried to storm out of a CBS interview acting like a teenager who just got asked about their report card. It's always reassuring when a potential governor folds faster than the California power grid. Next, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I should have just said AOC, it's faster, she mocked Stephen Miller's height. Next week, she'll pants a fellow congresswoman for bringing lunch from home. And finally, far-left protesters have unveiled a new way to defeat ICE. Nothing screams liberty like a grown man in a sweaty unicorn costume gyrating to Lizzo. And then we go to the comment section on this segment we did about the Chicago Police Department telling some of their officers to stand down and not go to Border Patrol agents. Well, apparently Chicago's top cop said that there was no stand-down order. So we are going to dig into exactly what we know, and then I'll tell you what I think happened. Okay, let's dive in. On his show, John Oliver celebrated a mob vandalizing ICE agents' vehicles during an enforcement operation in Rochester. Oliver doesn't tell jokes anymore, he just narrates felonies with enthusiasm.
But our cameras captured a Border Patrol vehicle at the scene with flat tires. In response to the large crowd, agents left Westminster and the SUV was towed a few blocks away.
Perfect. Well done to everyone involved. And I absolutely love that woman said, "I came to bother ICE."
He actually shouted perfect after the footage, which is the same thing his wife yells when he leaves the house. If you ever wonder what would happen if Antifa got a talk show, tune in to HBO on Sunday night. Katie Porter, the Democratic frontrunner in the race for California governor, snapped and tried to storm out of a CBS interview after a question about Trump supporters. Porter's got the emotional range of a teenager whose Wi-Fi just went out. The question that Porter was asked that caused her to have her little tantrum was, what do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win who voted for Trump? Here's how she responded.
How would I need them in order to win, man? You don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you. I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you. And I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either.
Wow, she seems nice. What do you say about the homelessness crisis? I feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. How are you going to deal with the wildfires? All right, that's it. I'm going to call it. California wanted a leader. Looks like they might be getting a drama teacher instead. Representative AOC thinks it's okay to make fun of people for being short.
And grasping at straws because they have nothing else. Laugh at them. Stephen Miller is a clown. I've never seen that guy in real life, but he looks like he's like 4'10", and he looks like he is angry about the fact that he's 4'10", and he looks like he is so mad that he is 4'10", that he's taken that anger out.
The same people who think misgendering is violence apparently think that height shaming is activism. But at least body shaming is back on the menu. I know I've really missed it, but actually looks like AOC followed up on those comments.
I want to express my love for the short king community. I don't believe in body shaming. I am talking about how big or small someone is on the inside.
AOC says that she wasn't body shaming. She was talking about who's small on the inside. Finally, a topic she's an expert on. And just one quick note on that, Stephen Miller is actually around 5'10", so he's not 4'10". AOC, look, if you're going to body shame someone, it needs to be about that person's body. It's really the first rule of body shaming. Far-left protesters have come up with a new way to harass ICE in a video that will soon be going viral, mostly because no one can tell if it's a protest or a rejected Nickelodeon pilot. This group thinks they're sending a strong message to ICE. Yeah, that message is, we're out of medication. And now onto the comment section. So the first segment we're looking at is the one where we found out that the Biden FBI was spying on 8 sitting US senators. Completely insane. None of us are surprised though, right? So we had this comment from Crazy Mike. Wake me up when someone actually goes to jail. I know, so many people were commenting on that. It would be nice to see something happen, because this is big. This is really big. Okay, this comment from David Rowe 266. And why didn't any agents tell? Now, I actually had the same question, because when you look at the memo that they released that was circulating back at the time, I'm going to pop this up on the screen. Any agent, FBI agent who saw this memo, right there on that front page, it says following US senators and then lists their names. So even if for some reason they tried to say, well, I didn't know he was a senator, it actually says on the memo, we're spying on these US senators. Is that not insane? They should have given them like code words or different names, because they clearly knew this was wrong, right? The fact that just how brazen is that? Yeah, we're spying on sitting senators. How do you like that? I just think any agent who saw this should have asked his boss at least, is this okay? Because this seems a little Watergatey, right? And honestly, even if his boss said, oh no, it's fine. Do you know what? It's not fine. You've seen All the President's Men, right? It's not fine. You can't do that. Any agent who saw this and didn't completely lose their minds. But just to follow up, so Kash Patel said that they did fire the agents who weren't ethical with respect to this that happened, and I think they said they disbanded the CR-15 group, which was the secret code name group for these folks who did this, right? CR-15. I don't know what that stands for. Anyway, we can probably come up with something. But okay, on the Tina Turner statue segment, we've had a lot of comments on that segment. So we talked about, we ended up talking about the Letitia James statue that was in New York, and I said that I didn't know where it was, and I've been searching. Somebody actually commented and said it's in Toronto. It's not in Toronto. I actually researched this, and it was the same sculptor, but it was like another lady that looked kind of like Letitia James, but it's not her. So it's a different one, but it's similar, but it's not the same one. This one's like a 12-foot Letitia. That one is a 9-foot. I don't know what we're going to call that one, but it is a different one. Okay. All right, so this... So talking about where the Letitia James statue might be now, because we couldn't find it. This is from Steve Hughes. The U.S. Navy is using the Tish James statue as an anchor for their new aircraft carrier, the Gerald R. Ford. I was picturing like the front of an aircraft carrier with the big Tish James statue. I'm hoping that the head would be on top and then it would just drop down. Okay, and then this one is from Linda Kilmer. The Letitia James statue is in a foundry being melted down to make 20,000 cars. Okay, on to the segment about the Chicago Police Department, where it sounded like a stand-down order to not help Border Patrol agents who are being surrounded by people, and I think there were 10 cars who boxed them in, and they were actually ramming vehicles around this. So we had this comment from Linda M. 9618. Actually, Chicago Police Superintendent Snelling has ordered his officers to assist federal law enforcement. Per the Chicago Sun-Times, Snelling said his officers were on the scene Saturday and will continue to respond to feds' requests for help. And then there's a quote after that. So I wanted to look into this because we had the audio for the order telling the police to not go to that location and not help them, which to me, by definition, that's a stand-down order, right? So it's hard to really argue with the audio that we have, but I just wanted to see what they're actually trying to say here. So this is from Fox News. Chicago Police Chief puts criminals on notice after federal agents targeted in weekend confrontations. So let's see what they're saying in this article. Chicago's top cop came out swinging Monday, denying claims that a chief ordered officers to stand down after federal agents were rammed in 2 weekend attacks, and warning protesters that striking law enforcement could trigger a justified counterpunch, including the use of deadly force. Now, I'm immediately thinking, okay, he said there wasn't a stand-down order. I'm just thinking, I've heard the audio. I've heard the audio a ton. So how are we going to explain this? The superintendent said he called the news briefing to dispel reports that Chicago police did not respond to the incidents and were ordered to stand down, which he said were absolutely not true. Okay. However, Fox News previously obtained what appears to be a dispatch log indicating the chief of patrol did appear to order officers to stand down. The facts, radio tapes, and the dispatch message screen speak for themselves, a retired high-ranking officer told Fox News Digital. Snelling is in a tough spot, first dealing with the politics and the rhetoric. Snelling, for his part, said he would never order officers to hold back when other members of law enforcement were in need. Okay, still, I'm not quite, I didn't hear an explanation from the Snelling about, can you explain the dispatch that we heard then? And I did a little bit more digging. This is from the Chicago Sun-Times. We have one quote from the Chicago Sun-Times. Snelling acknowledged there were lots of miscommunication Saturday, stating there was no internal message sent out, but there was a phone conversation. And then at that time, the chief of patrol, John Hine, had no information that anyone was in danger. Okay, so it sounds like the audio that we heard was real. Nobody said it wasn't real, so it clearly was real. There clearly was an order given to not go to the location. But maybe in what they're saying is the way they view a stand-down order is that they didn't know they were being attacked or mobbed, so them telling them to not go to the location wasn't technically a stand-down order. I don't know, because there's some weird language here. There was no internal message sent out, and we didn't know anyone was in danger. Okay, so anyway, it sounds like what happened was maybe it wasn't officially don't help people that are in danger. Maybe it was an unofficial, oh, just don't go there yet, and they didn't know. Anyway, I think it's probably somewhere in that area, because when I saw exactly the comments on that audio, nobody said that didn't happen or that wasn't accurate. They just gave this kind of, well, there was lots of miscommunications. You know, it got weird. Okay, so that is what I think happened there. Thanks for watching Headlines. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.